welcome back to Team Talks, where we have just 2 minutes left of this transfer window. We'll bring you all of the latest and we'll round up all of the big transfer news towards the end of the show. And if there's any breaking news in the next now minute and 58 seconds, I'll keep you right across it. OK, so Liverpool are set to take on Aston Villa this weekend. We're going to hear from both bosses, starting with Jurgen Klopp.
I'm really sorry to disappoint you directly at the start, but you cannot talk about that because nothing really happened yet. All the decisive stuff has to happen. So it's Friday, right? If something happens, we can talk about it on Sunday.
Yeah. OK. If it is to happen, would that be the only arrival on the day?
What would it be?
Would it be the only new arrival on deadline day, or are you in the market for other reasons?
Whatever. It's deadline day, so I don't want to kill the excitement of the people. You never know. But I'm busy today with other things. Yeah.
With that in mind, then, is Konate fit for the weekend? Obviously, you got Virgil suspended, and back onto transfers. Is centre half the next area that you're looking to strengthen? Could there be a chance even that you do it today? Just thinking that obviously Virgil's.
If we could bring in a centre half for a weekend, we would think about it. No, we can't. Ibu, no, will not be ready for the game.
How difficult then, whoever plays, is it to keep Villa quiet? And obviously the way that they've started the season, it looks like they could be a threat for the European spots.
Definitely, there will be. Saw the game against Burnley. We saw now, meanwhile, pretty much all the games, but I watched it when it happened. And Burnley was good, to be honest, but Aston Villa is a machine, counter-attack, good organized. Everybody committed 100%. When they defend deep, then they defend deep with all. From there they go. I think everybody agrees when you look at Villa players they brought in, it makes massively sense. Have speed on the wings. Watkins up front. McGinn, super smart. Physical as well, but then really looking for these balls in behind and these kind of things. So it is a massive game, no doubt about it. And we have to play a top game to get something out of it, and we need Anfield as well. So that's what we have to make sure. I know that it always depends on the way we play, a little bit at least, and we have to do our part. But I know the people are ready to do their part, especially after last weekend and. After that is international break, so we could make a good start or turn it into a really good start into the season, result-wise. But yeah, there are massive 115 minutes in between now and then.
And sorry to ask once again, but just to check, has there been any offer at all for Mo Salah as yet? And I take it that your position, the club's position, remains the same as regards if an offer were to come in.
The position remains the same. Absolutely, no doubt about that. We cannot. That's how it is. But nothing else to say.
No offer.
Not as far as that I know, but that doesn't mean a lot, to be honest.
Thank you.
Personally, I played against Liverpool with Villarreal 2 years ago in Champions League. We lost. Last year we played at home. We lost. In Anfield we drew. Very good match we did. Very, very competitive match, and in a very key moment because we needed to add 1 point or 3 to be in Europe, and we did it. And they were fighting, trying to get the top 4 position to play in Champions League. And that is the sample I want to use.
Well, this should be a really good game as well. And I think Liverpool fans will be delighted that Mo Salah is still a Liverpool player, although the transfer window might shut here. It doesn't shut elsewhere until later on in the month. So that we'll talk about a little bit more later on. But as for Liverpool, we touched on it earlier, but Karen, they beat Newcastle, but it was the fashion in which they came back to beat them. How big a win was it for them?
Massive. Character, they were really up against it. You know, I was worried for Trent Alexander-Arnold early on when he was on that yellow card and could have gone. You lose Van Dijk and you're thinking, but when you've got a front line that start with 3 that are world class, and then you go, okay, well, that's not working. We'll bring on another 3 that are world class. There's going to be opportunities, and last week it fell to Nunez, and he took both chances brilliantly. But I thought it was a real dogged performance, a group that came together, and it was a great win.
And from Nunez's perspective, it was really big for him, wasn't it? Especially for a striker's confidence. What will those goals have given him?
Well, I think he believed in himself, but he just needed the goals to go and show everybody else, really. Again, arrived for an awful lot of money from Benfica a couple of seasons ago. And now we've got the likes of McAllister, Salah, who decided to stay, of course, after all the furore today, all the talk. And I always fancied Liverpool at Anfield. For some reason, I don't know why, I just think they're a brilliant home side. When that crowd gets up as well. And of course, Aston Villa, Unai Emery, brilliant what he's done there. You know, Diaby, Ollie Watkins, England strike. Is he in the England squad? I'm sure if he is, Ollie Watkins.
Yeah.
Yes.
He is.
John McGinn, got really, really good players. They've got good wide players, pace. And they've had a couple of good results. I know they got thumped at Newcastle in the opening day. Really good performance against Everton last week or the week before. And I think it's a really good game. I think it's an open game. Could go either way, but I just fancy Liverpool. I always fancy them at Anfield. I don't know why. I can never go against Liverpool at Anfield. They're just so good.
I think so much of the talk about Liverpool over the years has been about Liverpool's midfield, how it was an ageing midfield of Hendo, Milner, Fabinho, but now it's completely transformed, hasn't it, Karen?
It is. McAllister, world-class winner. You know, Enzo coming in, his energy, his pressing, how he controls the ball, and, you know, his strength. I really, really like him. So it is a very new look Liverpool in that midfield area, and it might take a little bit of time to get used to, especially how, as you mentioned, the old guard was so... It was them always, and you always knew what the Liverpool 11 was. So it might take a bit of time, but like I said, when you've got a front line like Liverpool, it will always give you a great chance. And I think, not because I'm a Birmingham City fan, Seema, I'm agreeing with you there, John. I think at home they were just too good, too strong, that crowd. And their unbeaten run at the moment stretches back a long, long way now. Yeah. So, you know, that counts for a lot.
That said, with Villa, they pretty much have picked up from where they left off in terms of Unai Emery. He's working wonders with this side.
Yeah, he is. There's something about Unai Emery, isn't there? Didn't quite saying that. He still got Arsenal to Europa League final. They played Chelsea.
And I don't think he ever got the respect he deserved.
Beat Valencia in the semi-final, beat Napoli in the quarter-final during that period. So, an incredible record at Sevilla in the Europa League. So he's an elite manager, and Villa have got a top manager there, and he's doing great things with them. Really is.
And there you go. I mean, Aston Villa, you can see just picking up from where they left off last season. I mean, it is early days, isn't it? We're only, match week 4. But still, there's so many positives about this side and about the way Unai Emery is managing these players.
Well, when he came in, I think they were in a real bad position. I can't remember how low down they were, but I think they were near, like, fighting for relegation, weren't they? And he bought one player, it was a left-back, and transformed their season last year, and I thought they were brilliant. He's brought some big players in this year. You know, Pau Torres, I remember me and Michael Owen on the opening day were talking, that was, for me, a player to watch out for Aston Villa. Diaby's come in. Can he continue to get the best out of Ollie Watkins? So they've got some top players in the team, and as John said there, he's an experienced manager, one that they think can get us European success. So this is why we've brought him in, and these are the expectations that we will have, and we'll give you those players to do so. But it will... Terrible against Newcastle, the opening game, but they've definitely corrected those mistakes and look a lot stronger the last couple of weeks.
So what do you think overall, early days again, as I said, but ambitions-wise for this season, what would their target be?
Again, I feel as if I'm repeating myself. A cup run, I think the Villa fans would love sort of a bit of joy. I remember Martin O'Neill being there. I think he finished 2 6th places in the Premier League. Got them to an FA Cup final, lost to Chelsea. I'm not quite sure since then, really. Villa have been pretty much on the slide, if you like. I think the Villa fans now, they really feel they can go somewhere with this manager and the group of players they've got. what would be a success? A cup final, and of course, a good league position. You know, finish. Can they? Brighton finished 6th last season. What were Villa? Villa 8th. Can they get better than? Can they get better than 8th? So just push on. Just try and get as far up as you can.
Okay. Well, that rounds up our preview of this match week. I think now it's a good time to focus on the transfer window because, of course, the window is now shut. We've seen that it's been a rather busy window and we're going to show you some of the big standout moves and the big moves from today as well. Looking down that list, I mean, there's been an awful lot of money spent this window. But what moves stand out for you, Karen, on that list?
To be fair, we just spoke about Brendan Johnson going to Tottenham, but I think selling him for 47 million and getting Callum Hudson-Odoi in for 5, that is a very good bit of business, I think. Of course, you don't want to lose your best player, as John just said, but I think Callum Hudson-Odoi, point to prove back in the Premier League, pretty much making £40 million profit there, so I think that's quite an interesting one.
Yeah, we touched on Sofiane Amrabat, who we all liked watching at the World Cup, who was with Morocco, who really was one of the standout players. He's gone to Manchester United on loan. But the other loan move for Ansu Fati to Brighton, I don't know if anyone really saw that one coming, but how good a bit of business is that one? Brilliant,
really good for De Zerbi. He goes into a really good side as well, full of quality that Brighton have. And I'm sure De Zerbi will try and get him in and fit him into that system, into that style that Roberto De Zerbi does so well. Keeps sort of surprising people with the results that Brighton get, the way that they play, they're fantastic on the eye. So I think it's a brilliant signing from Barcelona to sign Ansu Fati. Is it on loan, is it?
Yes, it is. It is on loan.
Sorry.
Yeah, no.
It's a good signing.
And also, Man United have been rather busy, haven't they, today? I mentioned Sofiane Amrabat, but they've signed the goalkeeper Altay Bayindir for 4.3 million and Serge Reguilon also on loan from Tottenham. And I guess they had that void, didn't they? They have that crisis at left-back, if you want to say. Luke Shaw and Malacia both injured, so they needed that player, didn't they?
I think they're long-term injuries as well, so you have to go and scramble in the market who's available, and this is who they turn to.
Well, talk to me now about Cole Palmer's move to Chelsea, £40 million. What did you make of that bit of business?
I was slightly surprised. I never want to question Pep because he's brilliant. He led the way for so many coaches. Unbelievable manager, everything about him. A young player, whether he's done it for financial fair play and trying to get a young player out to try and maybe recoup some money. But to let a young player go to Chelsea, I thought Cole Palmer's done well. I've seen him this season in the Community Shield and one or two other appearances. So there's obviously a reason why. There's obviously the reason that he maybe doesn't think he'll come on like in the likes of Foden and one or two others, but he was silky. He didn't look out of place at all during that Community Shield. Scored a brilliant goal.
Oh, he did, didn't he?
Yeah, and he just
great,
looked,
actually.
He looked like a Pep type of player, somebody that he'd bring on and improve, and then to learn that he's gone to Chelsea.
Yeah,
Slightly surprised, I've got to say.
Is it a good move for him as a player?
If he plays, you have to play.
Do you think he will?
I think there's I'm not surprised Chelsea would sign him because he's a young, talented player, and that just seems to be Chelsea's strategy.
Mantra, yeah.
Young player, good, we'll try and get them and we'll grab them on a 7 or 8 year deal. But for him personally, any young player, my biggest advice to any young players is you have to play every week. So if he's going to go there from City and not play and then go to Chelsea and not play, that isn't a good move for me. But, only time will tell. He's a top quality player, as we've just mentioned, but he'll definitely offer competition. Will he start? I don't know.
We'll have to wait and see. Well, now's a good time to actually talk about some of the most expensive signings, and you can see them there. Of course, Declan Rice at the top of the list, along with Moises Caicedo. I mean, both brilliant moves for those respective clubs, Karen.
Yeah, I mean, it's been an expensive window, hasn't it?
Hasn't it? Well, it's topped it, hasn't it?
Vardiol, I really like him, though. I know you mentioned Rice and Caicedo, but I love Vardiol defensively. Absolutely brilliant.
How will he transform that defence?
Well, look, City have massively evolved. Pep Guardiola, ahead of the curve, as we all know, goes, I'm going to play last season, this season, with 4 centre-backs, and they're all versatile. They can dip into midfield. So I think he suits that bill. Left-sided defensive player who can go into midfield at times. He can offer cover. He's had World Cup experience. I think it's been a really good signing for them.
What about for you? When you look at that list of the most expensive signings this summer, which one stands out for you, John?
It's got to be Declan Rice. Arsenal finished second last season. He goes in, he's disciplined, he can maraud forward, intercepts, really good footballer, doesn't try and overdo things, don't see him hitting 60, 70-yard balls. He's a ball winner, he can take you up the pitch. He's got everything, hence he's 100 million. And as I said, he was brilliant for West Ham. You know, West Ham went and won a European trophy. He was captain, and I'm not quite sure whether he led them. He grabbed them by the scruff of the neck and dragged them through the tough times. Brilliant, great character, and I think he's bred for Arsenal. I really do. I think he'll do great there.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, you know, we're going to round up this chat now, but we have to talk about Mo Salah because there are talks of him moving to Saudi. Of course, their window shut on the 7th of September. So although our window has shut, he could actually still leave. We can't bring any more players in, but players can still go. So if Saudi Arabia, if that team come back with a higher offer, he could still go. And that would be a huge disappointment, not just for Liverpool, but the Premier League as well.
Well, he is, because I've had him as my top goal scorer this year. So if he goes, I'll be absolutely devastated, and that's one of my things out the window. But look, we'd be devastated to see him go. As you said, he's been so good, and we want to see him week in, week out. But I think if they came back with, what, £200 million potential of a 31-year-old, and you think way back when they sold Coutinho for 100 million, I think, at the time to Barca, or however many much it was, and then they went and bought Van Dijk, and they went and bought a goalkeeper. They're giving you a lot of money to maybe rebuild and go again and be title contenders. I think it would be quite a tough one for Liverpool to turn down, as well as Mo Salah.
Yeah, but they haven't brought anyone in, have they? So who knows what will happen there. But as things stand, he's still a Premier League player and a Liverpool player. OK, we are going to wrap this up with some quick fire round questions. Are you ready? The window.
Rice.
OK.
Maddison so far.
OK. Underrated signing of the window, John?
Amrabat, for the reason that he was brilliant in the World Cup. It took up until the last day for him to move on from Fiorentina. Manchester United got a really good player that will make them better with his discipline, and I think that's what United need.
Yeah,
that more stability defensively, and I think he brings you that.
OK. What about for you? Underrated signing of the window?
Jefferson Lerma.
Oh, tell us why.
Because I think he's underrated, doesn't get the credit he's due. He just slots in, does his job, and I think a lot of people have paid a lot of money for holding midfielders in this window and the last window, and he's gone for a free, and I think I really like him, and I see the impact that he's had. I just rate him, and I think he's underrated. OK, one to watch out for sure this season. OK, biggest coup?
Biggest coup, I think, is Spurs getting Brennan Johnson.
Yeah.
I think he'll...
Worth the price tag for you as well?
Well, that's what you pay, that's the market. You know, was Brennan just in his early 20s? He's Wales' top man as well, best player for Wales.
Yeah, he's
Gareth Bale's retired, and Wales are pinning their hopes on Brennan Johnson. As I said earlier on, I don't think it's Stevie Cooper. He'd be devastated to have lost his best player. He'd be counting him to keep Forest in the Premier League again this season with his goals and his assists. Great signing for Spurs, and I think he'll do really well there.
OK.
James Ward-Prowse for me.
Yeah. OK, well, I think that. I can't argue with that. Team best window?
Spurs.
OK. And for you?
Brighton.
OK. And then, can you describe this window in a sentence, John?
Well, it's where we are. It's where we are now in football. The market is incredibly inflated. And there's money being spent now. Average players are actually going for millions and millions and millions of pounds.
Exactly.
So a little bit crazy, but you have to live with it.
That's where we are, the times we're in.
Expensive, that's
Position maintenant. Alors que se passe-t-il? Le buteur Hakim Ziyech est resté au sol.